All right.
So, welcome again to today's master series. Chris, if you wouldn't mind starting us off with the next slide. Um, my name is Jeff Bennett. I am a technical specialist with Microsoft's South OU, specifically focused on the Power Platform. Um, a lot of you, or I'm hoping many of you, actually were able to attend our previous session known as the Power Platform Collaboratorium, as that doesn't necessarily roll off of everybody's tongue as easily as it does mine. We've rebranded ourselves as the Power Platform Master Series going forward. So, same same objective, same group of educators. But what we're deciding to do is, again, it's an education series specifically designed around the Power Platform. It is meant for Power Platform enthusiasts. That can be our app makers, both citizen and pro developers, administrators that are both administering IT and the Power Platform itself, and then just newbies, anybody that's interested in dipping their toe in the water. We try to hold this once a month, typically right in the middle of the month, in the middle of the week as well on Wednesdays. If anything changes about that, you guys will have a heads up, and we are working on greater communications as well. Um, what's in the next question on there, Chris? Yeah, where? So typically we're doing this primarily with just virtual Teams webinars. We'd like to try to get to a point where maybe we are doing some in-person visits at Microsoft MTCs, and a lot of folks can show up in person, and we can still broadcast as well. And then the big why. Um, the why we do this is both to educate and to learn. Everybody that's on this call is either directly from Microsoft or is amongst our peers at within clients and customers that we support. And so we want to learn a lot about what you're doing today, and how the Power Platform can kind of help you going forward. So as I mentioned, feel free to ask questions. Everybody's microphone is available to come off mute. Please be aware of that, and feel free to ask questions along the way. If you don't want to come off mute, or perhaps the question came after the topic has already moved on, we've also got a few folks in the chat that are available. So feel free to go ahead and ask your question that way. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to the almighty Chris Simmons to talk about Copilot and how it fits into to Power Apps. Chris?
Thanks, Jeff. So again, good morning, good afternoon to everybody that's joining. For those of you that participated in a couple of our series last year, we're really excited for this one, this Master Series. We haven't forgotten about the warm-up. We're still working on the details there as well. So I certainly want to call that out, as I know a lot of you have participated from that perspective. But we're just here to talk about the Power Platform, right? And really focus on Power Apps and the Copilot stuff, right? A lot of exciting topics around there. And we step back, of course, right? Everything about the Power Platform, Power Apps, right? Every person, every level of the stack, that's a really important piece. And every solution that you guys are working on today or have within your corporate entity, right? There are so many solutions that we all know that are put together with duct tape and baling wire, also known as Excel and SharePoint. Every now and then those scary little Access databases. And so we're trying to help get rid of those, right? We're trying to help make those better and bring those into the new world and any great things that we can do. And there's a lot of companies that are doing some great things with this, right? There is a reduction in the number of developers. And you've heard Charles Lamanna talk about it. You've heard everybody that's ever talked about this platform mention that there is this huge reduction in the number of developers. It's just not as an exciting thing sometimes, right? Now, AI might change that. A lot of people are really excited about that. But again, that development talent pool is shifting, and of course, with so many new apps that will be created, that need to be created, that should have been created 10 years ago, there's a lot of opportunity there and things that we need to have available for us and the tools to do that. And so we're big fans, of course, of the Power Platform, right? There's a lot of phrases that come up when we talk about the Power Platform. I honestly love this slide because it's, a lot of things that I get is some of that initial feedback, right? People that aren't as familiar with the whole low code movement, may still be a little apprehensive to it. And so they kind of see things in different lights. And of course, citizen devs is a trigger word for a lot of people. It comes up often. The Power Platform really is for everyone. As a recovering developer myself, I'm a big fan of the low code, helping us create these new solutions faster. It doesn't take away from the need for code or the desire to write code. You still have the opportunity to write code, and we'll talk about that a little bit here in a bit. You can't build proper solutions. Absolutely, there are customers running, millions of transactions with millions of users on this platform every single day. Some of them are so inconsequential you don't even know about it. One particular customer created an app that had 1.3 million sessions in a single month, and it was so simple and so easy and impactful. They didn't even realize that was the app that they had created. It was like, oh yeah, that one's popular, that makes sense, and then just kind of moved on. So the platform is scalable, can handle that kind of thing, and really build all of these solutions pretty easily with the capabilities. Now, I love this one. Of course, developers think that they have to clean up a mess. That's not necessarily true, right? I have seen some beautiful apps. I've seen some less than perfect apps, but in the end of the day, right, when people are creating the solutions that they need to solve their business challenges, it doesn't matter, what it looks like or how it works, right? As long as it is working and they have the capabilities to complete their task, right? It's got to be better than the Excel files. It's got to be better than those Access databases that they were maintaining and running that provided all kinds of other risks and challenges, right? And so things are going to be better. They're gonna, there's going to be some ugly apps. That's okay. As long as they're effective, we're good. And with all the great governance and capabilities around that, we can make sure that those things are secure, which of course is the most important topic, right? We never want to ignore security. That is a really, really important piece for us. The good news is we didn't create a whole new security model. We built it into the platform with some other things that we're already, pretty good at and well known for. So, lots of opportunity there. And of course, low code versus no code, that's not a thing that we like to talk about. It's just creating a solution and using the best of both worlds, right? As I often remind developers, you guys aren't necessarily fans. If any developers are on the call, you guys aren't usually fans of, those dealing with the minute details that don't really affect the outcome of the app, right? I want it in this font or in that color. I want this field over there instead of over here. Not the things that a pro dev is really worried about. And it seems to, take a lot of time for some of those feedback. And if we can give that responsibility to the people that are most interested in that kind of work, then, hey, that's all the best, right? It's laid out the way they see it should be laid out, what makes most sense to them, and then the developer can focus on the real hardcore things behind the scenes. So really taking the best of both worlds, the skill set of those developers that you have on hand, and then the people that are most close to the business challenge that they're trying to solve. So if you've been a part of these sessions and series before, we love to ask questions. And so we're going to start right out of the gate. We're going to stop for a pause here, right? And we really want to understand, how many years have you guys been playing with? The platform's getting a little older. There's a lot of things going on. There's, of course, been a ton of advancement in this capability, right? So I want to know, right, how often are you guys having the opportunity to do this? We've got the poll up here. I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at answering it myself. And so we've got this, just want to understand where everybody's coming from, right? And understand what you feel like. It's been a really exciting time, especially with the conference last year. So good information and just good advancements and enhancements to the capabilities of the platform then as well. We'll go ahead and move on. That poll will stay in the chat if you want to answer that. Next question, of course, is how frequently are you building apps in the Canvas App Studio? We know that that's the most popular one, right? I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by that. Everybody loves to build Canvas apps. That's always really exciting. People are really passionate about laying things out the way they want to see things. So let us know, right? What do you think? I'm going to go with occasionally. I get to talk about them a lot. I don't get to build as often. I say that, and I've been building a handful in the last couple of months. So just a spike in my building efforts, but definitely like to hear what you guys are doing, how often you get the opportunity to play with this stuff. So, we talk about the Power Platform at large. There are a lot of pieces to it, from user experience, process automation, of course, Power BI. I don't have to talk about that, right? It's been out there forever. Power Virtual Agents, which is so cool, intelligent chatbots. And then Power Pages, of course, is we're building those external business websites. Oh, well, internal as well. Are different tools to solve your business challenge, right? There are a lot of different pieces to this platform. Those are what I like to call the Fab Five, to give you the opportunity to solve your business challenge in the most appropriate way. I had a conversation with a customer just on Monday. We were talking about managing some support situations within their organization. And the customer was thinking, oh, it's got to be a chatbot. It's got to be a chatbot. And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. It can be a chatbot. I think that's a great idea, and things that people are very used to. But it can also be a phone number, right? That same chatbot can support an IVR channel for a phone call, or even a mailbox. You can set up a chatbot to manage a mailbox. Or, part of their support process was re-engaging certain processes. I said, well, just put a Power App, right? They can log into the Power App. They can see the data that they need to present and react to, and then, select what they need to from that perspective. So lots of different options, and that's really the key. Meet your users where they're at. You've got this great toolbox to use, and a lot of opportunity to create a very, very tailored experience for your end customer, whether that be internal or external. And of course, we've got a great supporting cast here below, right? The 1,000+ connectors. I used to count them every single day, practically. Once we crossed 1,000, I was like, all right, we're over 1,000. It's fine. But more to come, as always. AI Builder, right? All kinds of cool stuff there. Even the generative AI capabilities are showing up there. Dataverse, my personal favorite product in the stack. I'm a data guy at heart, so I won't lie. PowerFX is we're expanding more capabilities, how to make things more low code throughout the platform. And then, of course, all the management capabilities that are available within the stack, and a lot of really cool stuff coming in the next couple of months. We're going to do a bigger, more formal plug later, but if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of things that are set to come out in the next 60 days or so, or 45 days, I should even say, as September and October roll around for that big thing in Vegas. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So today we're going to focus, of course, on Power Apps, right? That's the bread and butter, right? That's the one that everybody knows. It's becoming the most popular piece for sure, and there's a lot of really cool things about it. Of course, I promised we'd talk a little bit of ROI. I won't beat this to death. I'm sure you guys have all seen the slides or some variation of it, right? There's a lot of great information out there that's not provided by Microsoft. I want to make sure that that's clear. These are coming from independent companies and organizations that are talking about, what they're finding when they speak to our customers about what they're able to achieve with the platform. And a couple of examples here, right, between Shell and Accenture themselves, EY, of course, and Echo Group, and just other areas of the world and industries that are seeing some major investments. And a number of these customers are going to be present at the conference. I'm just going to keep throwing it out there. Why not? So if you have any questions about these, or if you want to get a closer understanding, man, that's a great opportunity to come meet folks and understand how they accomplish this. There were some great stories told last year, and I'm sure there's going to be some better ones told even this year. So really what it comes down to is taking, it's kind of coming back to that theme of taking everyone that exists within your organization, bringing them together to create that full solution, right? Today it's very much it's historically, I shouldn't say, been a very linear progress, right? The business challenge exists, right? There's some BAs and folks that get involved. We start running a project. They communicate to the developers disappear for some time, come back. Well, this is what we built based on that. Well, now the business has changed, or no, that's not exactly what we meant, or some sort of translation issue has occurred. And I've lived it too many times. And so we're really focused on making sure that everyone can be a part of that, right? Giving you the opportunity to, take whatever level of complexity this particular solution or system has, and bringing the best of every resource to that solution, right? Data science is such a hot topic these days, and has been for the last number of years, right? Bringing that into it, right? Every app leads to some sort of data-based outcome, right? There's always analytics, there's data science, now AI, and all kinds of fun stuff that we want to look at this data and understand trends and how we can do things better, whether that's simply making more money, lowering costs, increasing revenue, all those various, intents that we will have as we deliver our business, right? So we take a step back, and I'm going to show you the scary slide, right? Is that there are so many pieces to this. We're talking about the Power Platform, of course, but there's still that whole Azure stack, right? We don't want to ignore that. I'm a big fan of that. Again, recovering developer here. So there's a lot of services within this stack that we can take advantage of and very easily incorporate into the Power Platform. So the thought is, though, right, is that if you've got existing investments there, or you're just simply looking to do some things that are a little bit more complex, a little bit crazier and more specific to how you want to drive your business, you still have the opportunity of taking advantage of that. As I tell a lot of the customers I get to work with, that's your fallback plan, right? If you may be creating something in the Power Platform, you can fall back on these services within our Azure stack. And all kinds of other things, right? You may have investments in other clouds, on-prem, whatever the case may be, we can take advantage of those as well. Now, what makes things exciting for us, because it's all in here, is, right, we're starting to add this whole Copilot layer to everything that we do, right? Really helping your makers create things even faster, right? And that's really key. And we'll kind of come back to that because it's a really, really key piece to this whole story. So thinking about all the different solutions and capabilities that you may have within your organization today, it's just a lot of disconnection, right? There's a high total cost of ownership, a lot of support, a lot of complexity, right? The integration layer was always a big challenge. And what we're trying to do, of course, is to bring that all together, really, really simplify that into one piece. And of course, there's that Copilot bad boy. It's going to keep showing up as a part of that stack to help make that even easier, to do anything that we can to simplify the common tasks as a part of it. And so there's a lot of key factors to the Power Platform and Power Apps to consider as we try to drive this. And so we're talking about extensibility, right? Just to kind of repeat that, right? Lots of opportunity there with the other capabilities for your pro devs, right? So you can have your low code makers creating cool things and then supported by your pro code developers, lots of opportunities there. All kinds of options for data, right? Again, we've got Dataverse as a part of the low code platform. That doesn't have to be the only choice, right? We've got 1,000+ connectors that we have available in this platform. And so we want you to take care of that, right? We understand you have investments in other technologies, other capabilities. So we have a lot of logos on here that are, very big, well-established direct competitors, and that's okay. We're going to continue to add more and work with customers to create custom connectors to do that. But of course, I get to play all excited. Yay, we can connect to everything, right? And have all kinds of fun. But those security folks behind the scenes get really, really scared when I say that kind of stuff. And so we really want to be sure that there's a lot of good control and governance behind the scenes as well. As I've mentioned to every customer I've had the opportunity to, right? Microsoft's kind of at the core of some of the challenges you face, right? Excel and Access are us, right? Now, of course, we didn't do Lotus Notes apps back in the day. And I personally know that struggle. I know I've met with a couple of customers that have people that have experienced that struggle. This is not that. Everything's discoverable. You've got good visibility and discoverability into things, and lots of controls and levers, and even more coming. And what's really fun is even some AI stuff coming to really help there as well. So just teasing some of the background rumors, but lots of really cool stuff coming up. And so as you collaborate and create these solutions, right, that's where one of the key pieces of our ROI comes from, right? If we make it easier to create the thing, if we make the best path the easy path, you're going to get a lot of value faster, and it's just going to, increase in number. A lot of customers talk about the hundreds, if not thousands, of apps that exist in their tenant, and each one of those in and of themselves might be only saving an hour or two of work for a given individual. And so that app, which may have taken a day to create, now is saving a couple of hours a week. It's not going to take that long to see an ROI there. And now if you take that at scale and you've got thousands of apps that are saving an hour or two a day at minimum, we're getting a lot of value, right? We're getting it quickly. And again, the people that are most impacted by the business challenges are the ones that are solving it. And so that's a really, really important piece here. So I'm going to pause here. Yeah. Well, is there a question? All right. That's all good. Throw it in the chat. We've got people watching there. So we're going to pause. We got one more question to ask. Do you know if Copilot is turned on in your tenant? I definitely want to pause to watch this. Do you know if Copilot is available in your tenant? Can you go use that today? Do you even know if you can go use that today? Let's see. Some good responses. 20 of you so far. That's great.
Yeah, look at that.
All right, we got 75 of you on here. Let's see it. I want to see it. I want to see if we can get 100% participation. We'll give it a minute. That's all right. We're almost there. Look at that. So far, it's a little bit I don't know. Not so many no's. That's okay. I know a couple of organizations that are there. Lots of yeses. Of course, that's exciting. Good news, it doesn't cost anything right now, so that's good, right? That'll save you a little bit. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Yeah, hey, 50 responses. I'm not going to complain about that. That's fantastic. Thank you guys, because there's a lot of cool stuff coming. And I know that customers have a ton of questions about that, and that's fine. We're here to answer them. We're not trying to hide anything, not trying to scare you, right? We want to talk about all these capabilities and what they offer you and what they don't offer you and what they don't create. And that's, of course, a really important point. And so when we think about the capabilities of Copilot, and I can close that view because I don't need that to distract me because I know it will. When we talk about these Copilots, right? And I'll start with Power Apps. I think there's like 3 in Power Apps alone, right? It's a little crazy and a little fun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do enjoy it. That have all these different Copilots inside of Power Apps to help you make them. As you may have noticed, right, last year we introduced that capability to take a screenshot of a napkin, right, or a form, or use a Figma design and create an app based on that picture or image or design. And that was using some of those underlying AI capabilities. And so we've taken that and just simply expanded it, right, giving you that prompt, that opportunity to just describe what you're looking for. And lots of cool things to make it easier to create these solutions. We've got a demo teed up here in a second. But to show you, a great example of this, but really it's important to note that, Copilot's out there. It's in public preview. I know that the product team is really looking forward to pushing this into GA. There's a lot of really, really cool things coming along. So, get prepared, ask the questions. Please throw them in the chat if there's any concerns about that. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. So you can give us a great demonstration of these capabilities and all the cool things that we can do with Copilot in Power Apps.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Let me share my screen real quick. There we go. So as Chris mentioned, Copilot for Power Apps is in preview, so I'll preface with that just in case we run into some issues. We're going to build an app. We're going to build an app using Copilot in real time, and I've run through this a couple times just to make sure that it is going to give us some good looking content, and it's quite impressive what it comes back with. But just again, a reminder, we are running this in real time with a preview. So the first thing we want to start off doing is making sure that we go to make.powerapps.com. And for me, this is my starting point for all things Power Platform. In particular, any kind of Power App that we're building, both Canvas and model driven, as well as having access to Dataverse. I also want to make sure that I'm in the proper environment. That's also important for me, and usually something I've built in a muscle memory now, just because I burnt myself too many times. But you'll notice as we come here to our homepage for Power Apps, right here in front of our face is a way to communicate directly with Copilot. And what I want to stick with is we want to create a Canvas app kind of designed around field inspections, maybe something for safety inspections. So we're going to create a Canvas app for field workers to use for safety inspections of both the facility and equipment. And the app should have several pages to be able to conduct various inspections. So let's see what we get. So the first thing to note is before the app is actually created, it's actually setting up the data structure itself. So it's going to build out our table with the fields that we want or the columns that we want, and be able to put it into Dataverse, which is incredible on its own. The fact that it kind of stands that up is great. Typically something that I would do when I was creating these just 3 months ago would be to go set something up in Dataverse, build out my data structure first, set up my kind of forms and things that I want, and then come back into Canvas apps and start setting things up and building it there. That was usually the way we'd go about it. So in this case, I can do them both at once using natural language. Hey guys, can we just double check to make sure that we're on mute?
I got it.
Appreciate it. But do feel free to come off of mute in case you've got some questions or want to look a little bit deeper. So we see that it's given us a couple of sample records. It's kind of broken out, the name of the record, the type of inspection, dates, times, whether it passed, failed, notes, even a photo. So it's even got the ability to put an image in there. When it comes to the inspection type, I don't necessarily need it to be based on time. So let's see if it can include things like pressure, hydraulics, mechanical, electrical inspections, and see if we can have it adjust the choices that it's giving us for that particular field. And actually, it looks like it's a text field, so maybe we're going to have it change it to a choice field for us.
Hey, sorry to jump in with a question. Is there a capability or a plan for a capability to generate multiple tables, relational database structure? We've played around with this, and it is, from what we've seen so far, pretty limited to just the one table. And typical use cases often are more complex than that.
Yeah, so it actually will. And as I mentioned, I played with this earlier today and or yesterday and today, and I've gotten a couple of different responses despite me having cut and paste in various tenants in here as well. The first thing that I'm noticing in this one, unfortunately, is that it gave us facility and equipment in here. Previously, I had it gave it to me as what facility is it and what piece of equipment is located at that facility. There's going to be a relational data right there where it's set up both an equipment table and a facility table. So it does have the ability to do that. Unfortunately, in this live demo right here, it doesn't look like it's going to do it, but I have seen it do it using this exact use case that I'm playing out right now.
And Jacob, that's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking that. Another point to call out there is, as you're defining that, right, you may have seen there's actually now, and I think we're like hot off the press, like in the last week or so, there's a Copilot sitting inside Dataverse specifically, so you can build out your data model from that perspective and then go add your app on top of that.
Yeah.
So in those scenarios, it's just a matter of approach, right? Different perspectives. So yeah, lots of opportunity and options there.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know there's a Copilot in there. So it gives you, let's say, the opportunity to explicitly build out a relational database structure.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so let's see if we can add a little bit more to this. So we've got, I got a pass fail here for the inspection result, but clearly I'm not just going to go look at it with any kind of pass fail. So let's see if we can add 3 separate columns for tests. Now, typically these would be, not necessarily test 1, 2, and 3, but would actually have test names behind them and whether or not it's a pass fail or NA. Let's see what we get. And ideally, we should see 3 new columns pop up. There we go. So test 1, 2, and 3 popped up as our new columns, and it's given some, again, sample data. It set these up as actual choice fields. So yeah, pretty great. All right, last thing that I want to try is as soon as we go into the app and we create it, we're going to take a look at another feature of of Copilot, and that's where we can actually embed Copilot into the app, which allows us to start to ask questions using using the large language model and ask questions of the data itself. Considering I've got 5 records here, let's see if we can get let's see if we can get a little bit more. Again, in testing this, I've had this work and I've had this not work. So let's, in reality, you're not necessarily going to just be generating sample data, but it is helpful. Oh, wow, there we go. So knocked out a bunch of sample data, 25 records now added to the 5 originally there. So it nailed it. Let's create the app. So this might take a second as it's spinning up, so I'll try to be as long-winded as I can here. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is creating the data structure in Dataverse, and that's what we're setting up here first. Everything's going to be set up, and if you've ever set up a table inside a Dataverse, there's setting up the primary field and whether or not it's going to be searchable, some functionality there. It's also, and as we're seeing right now, setting up the actual Canvas app itself. By default, and I know what to expect out of what this one's going to give us. It's going to set it up in a web format, but keep in mind that here we go. Keep in mind that the Power Apps is intended to be dynamic. So depending on what system or device that I'm looking at on, whether it's a web browser or whether I'm looking on a tablet or a phone, whether or not I am in landscape or portrait mode, the application itself will dynamically adjust to what I'm on. So pretty awesome with what it gave us. It did give us a single page in this point, but it sort of broke things up for us to look at. It gave us our list here on the side of all the data records that are in there. I can add a new record. I can search through them, and then it looks like I can see the record itself, the details of the record itself, and I'm assuming that's an edit button. We'll take a closer look at it. It also, and this is typically best practices for anybody out there, and please give us a raise of hands for anybody out there that actually has built a Canvas app. There's a best practice in using one of the components in there that is our vertical or horizontal containers, and that helps us kind of keep everything contained, for lack of a better word, in a single spot. And so as things kind of adjust, as I was mentioning, dynamically adjust, those components that are in each of those containers tend to stay where they're supposed to. So let's take a look at the app. So if we hit preview, like I said, looks like we can move through our list of records. I can add a new record. So I'll give it some fake data here. Save it. Awesome. So if I want to make changes, I can also hit edit. Looks like that button's working as well. Add some notes. We'll make some changes, and everything's saving. So let's see how it's adjusting for our different applications. So let's look at it actually on so many options. Let's look at it on a modern iPhone Pro Max. Looks pretty good. You can even look at it in landscape. Yeah, so considering this came, we did this in 35 minutes. It got this far where we created our table inside a Dataverse. Now, clearly, this isn't what we're going to take production ready. We're going to, there's some things that we might want to clean up, maybe move some of the stuff around. But to get us to this point where I've got a Canvas app with buttons working, and our connection to live data in Dataverse just by using natural language is pretty incredible. So one of the as I mentioned, one of the other new features is Copilot that we can add as a component. So if I bring Copilot directly in, and I'm not going to worry about finding a nice place to put it right now on here, I can just go ahead and connect it directly to the existing table that we've got in here, which is going to be our tests table. If there's any other tables or data sources that I want to tie it to inside of Dataverse, I can certainly do that. In reality, we might want to put this in a different area on the actual app itself. But for the sake of seeing it working, let's move it back to the Canvas. Let's see if we can just immediately ask questions of the data. How many records are there? And we know the answer to be 25. Let's see if it. Uh-oh. Well, let's see if we can figure out something else in there. Let's see. Well, I don't know how to ask this question without kind of giving the record ID. Nonetheless, we can get Copilot actually added into our Canvas app. There might be some indexing that I need to do or kind of catch up on it, but it can clearly, it's supposed to be able to tap into the records that we've got in front of us and pull back details clearly in preview. As I mentioned at the beginning, we might still have some nuances. So something else that I want to mention too, in regards to Copilot and how it's working with Power Apps is a new feature in bringing it into the model-driven app. So using it with the Canvas app is pretty straightforward, and we can use it where it's more of that that generative assistant that's kind of helping us out and being creative and setting up the Canvas app itself. But in bringing it into a model-driven app, that allows us to ask, again, similar to what should have been working there on the Canvas app, ask questions of the actual data. So I've got another environment here with a lot of sample data inside of cases. And this is where we can ask it, again, anything of the data itself. So let's find out how many high priority cases. So hopefully that's going to be taking a look at everything in here and let us know which ones that we should be prioritizing up front. While Copilot's thinking. Any questions so far or thoughts on the use of Copilot within Power Apps? All right. Come on, Copilot.
This is Debbie Hutcherson. Is it possible for me to build the data flow over in Power BI? And I know that data gets stored somewhere in Dataverse and use that data in Power Apps.
So you're saying
no, not at this time.
So yeah,
it's the same technology, Debbie, but it's not. You can't take a data flow you created for Power BI and bring it over. Now, what you can do is grab the underlying Power Query and use that for Dataverse, but it would technically be a separate data flow.
So I'd have to take the query that's in the Power Query and move that over into Power Apps and use that. The result set would then be able to be used in Power Apps. Is that what you're saying?
So it's not exactly in Power Apps. The data flow feature on the Power side, or at least on the Power App side, is actually for Dataverse specifically. So that's a way of taking data from other data sources and loading it into Dataverse. So that's very specifically what it does. And then, of course, then that Dataverse table can be exposed to your Power App. So it's not going to take it directly into your Power App, but it'll, be close enough, right? So yes, you can take that Power Query code, in the advanced editor, and then copy and paste that into the data flow on the Dataverse side.
Do I have to have a Dataverse app first, or place in Dataverse my own table? Okay.
So Debbie, why don't you follow up with me? We can dig into this a little bit deeper, just because I'm familiar with the practices and policies within your organization. So yeah, but yes, you can set up that Dataverse table in advance and use Dataflow to populate it, or technically the first time you create the Dataflow, it'll try to create the Dataverse table for you. I'm not a big fan of that, honestly, but it does work in a pinch. This is a short answer.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so typically not usually this slow. I as I was mentioning to Todd in the chat just a second ago, I'm running this on a demo tenant, and they're typically not prioritized resources. So it's not always the case, but I'm not surprised on a demo tenant. So it did give us an answer. We came back with 7 high priority cases that showed up. I went ahead and asked it a follow-up question. How many cases does Renee Valdez have? And we can certainly go back and, I could clearly jump in and we can filter to verify that there are 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so I know the data that's coming back. I can trust it. So again, keep in mind Copilot for both Canvas and model-driven apps still in public preview. Things are getting better each time I mess around with it. So glad to see progress, but a pretty big time saver to just be able to talk to your data using natural language and get a response. Again, with natural language. So I'll pause again one more time. Any other questions? If not, Chris, I know we had a few more things to discuss.
All right. Well, if there's any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm going to take it back over, throw it back to that last slide that we were getting at. Thank you, Jeff. That was great. Some good questions there in the chat. As you can see, there's a lot of things. Oh, John, you've got your hand up again. What's up? John, you want to come off mute, or maybe not? All right, that's okay. I'm turn my camera back on. All right, so as you can see, right, there's a lot of cool things just in that little thing. We use Copilot to actually create the app, modify the app, modify the tables. It was really cool for me personally. I'm a big fan of the fact that it took advantage of some of the newest features, right? So that's going to be some cool stuff, right? Ensuring, for those of you who are a bit more sticklers about, best practices, taking advantage of things like responsive design, taking advantage of that feature is super, super cool. And then, of course, then adding that particular thing inside the app itself to ask questions about your data. It's just, there's copilots among copilots, and for those of you that have heard me talk about copilots, I've mentioned it a couple times, right? I think Microsoft's gone a little full Oprah on this, right? We're just throwing copilots all over the place. Everybody's got one. Every product has one. We haven't touched the rest of the Power Platforms, at least a dozen more over there. And that's just in the platform. We're not talking about Office or any of the Azure things or custom copilots. It's just, they're everywhere, right? That was kind of the laughing conversation behind the scenes with our last public conference, is just all the Copilot announcements that were coming out. It was pretty funny. So what do you think about copilots? What's your feeling? Like I said, I'm excited about it, but I'm a nerd at heart, right? I love getting all excited about this stuff. But we want to know what you think. Are you excited? Are you scared? Suspicious? That could be fair. Indifferent. Throw out some responses here. It's a word cloud. We're wanting to get a vibe, right? That's why we didn't do multiple choice or a radio button. So throw some ideas out there. Let us know what you think. There's just a lot of really, really cool features coming. We're just going to keep making them better, right? Even if it doesn't do something today, if it's not as fancy or quick as you may see, right? Demo tenants aren't necessarily going to be the hot thing. And of course, if data is brand new, it's still kind of searching through it, right? So, as this stuff gets indexed and a lot of cool things available in Dataverse for those that are super data heavy friends. It does have Cosmos DB under the hood, so we've got those, the index searching, and there's a V word I can't think of right now, vector searching. There we go, to drive the capabilities of some of these more advanced asks and needs and requirements. So lots of really, really cool stuff that these things are going to be able to take advantage of, and not just in the co-pilots, right? As we get into building Azure OpenAI on your data, right? Those larger generative AI models on top of things. So really, really cool. Thank you so much for the responses. And so we were in a customer meeting this week, and it's a story I had to share, and I thought it was hysterical. And someone asked a really fun question. One of the Microsoft folks in the room said, "Does anybody know what the hottest new programming language is today?" And the response, or at least his comment, was, "It's English. Our natural language is the hottest new programming language," right? Just from Copilot in GitHub, where it all began, creating trillions of lines of code. I think they said 40% of all code in GitHub right now is AI generated. That's fantastic. I think that's a really cool thing. As someone who's personally very involved in what's known as our TEALS program, where we're helping young individuals in school coming of age, learning about programming and different programming languages. Java and C# and all these languages that have been around for a little while, they're great. But when you're writing the same things over and over again, that becomes less fun, and these co-pilots can really make it. So even though those students are learning some of the basics that are very boring and very tedious, right? They're going to have that better appreciation for these co-pilots in the future. And Lord knows what they're going to be doing when they enter the job force, right? And taking advantage of all these AI-assisted capabilities. So one platform to rule them all. I'll just say it. I don't care. Again, still a nerd at heart. We've got all these different capabilities, all these different options, right? Lots of resources that you can take advantage of, and really, again, meet your customer where they're at. Give them the best solution for how they need to interact with that business process. We have got a plethora of resources and guidance information, right? From trainings to best practices to advisory services. I know a couple of customers aren't going to make it today because they're attending an ALM session, which is super exciting. Lots of cool things there. We're just going to throw a bunch of links at you for now, right? And we'll share this deck. We'll make sure you get a copy of it. Of course, the recording will be available as well. But last but certainly not least, we're going to finish up with a couple more questions, or at least, two more questions. First, what do you want to hear about, right? What do you want us talking about in these sessions, right? We've got a schedule. We've got some ideas of what we want to talk about, but, we're only as good as our audience, right? If you guys want something else you feel is more important, something that is more pivotal to what you're feeling today and the things that you're working and the challenges you're facing, please let us know. We want to make sure that we're taking care of you guys and delivering the right content. So I'll give that a little bit. Looks like we're getting some great feedback immediately. Let's see. What do I want to hear about? I'm a governance guy, so I'm going to talk about that. Community of practice, a real passionate thing for me, so I'll answer there as well. See what we got here. 22 responses. That's not bad. We're getting some good feedback. It's really even. That's great. I love to hear that because it means that we've got the right ideas. As you can imagine, we're kind of leading the witness a little bit here about some of the topics that we've, think, what we hear most from our customers, what we want to talk about a lot. So let me know, or let us know, excuse me, what sounds good to you. If it's not on this list, please throw it in the chat. We're not opposed to that, right? Feel free to add the ad hoc stuff or some sort of free response. I want to give it another minute. I don't know if I want to move on to the next question yet, but we're running out of time. So we'll just do that real quick. Security authorization, authentication inside Power Apps. Love it. Great article around Power Apps Copilot. Thank you, Remy. So, all right, let's move on to the next question. And I think this is the one I'm most excited about. Myself and some of my, 10,000 of my closest friends, we're all going to Vegas in October. And I want to know if you're going to be one of them, right? So who's coming with me? I don't do a very good Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire impersonation, but that's what I'm going for, right? Who's coming with me? Who's going to party with us in Vegas and learn all kinds of stuff? I'm getting some early insights into some of the events that are going on. It's going to be a pretty crazy time. We had a good turnout last year. I think we sold out at about 4,000. They're aiming for much bigger. That was why the move to Vegas. That's why Charles announced it right at the beginning in his keynote. He said, "This is great. We're going to go bigger," and I love it. I'm really excited. So lots of really cool stuff there. We'll throw up while you guys are answering that poll. I'll throw up, of course, the QR code, information about the Power Platform Conference. Again, so much more information coming out there. There's a lot of cool things in the works behind the scenes. If you're part of the South OU, be sure to reach out to your seller or to your TS. Anybody that you know deals with Dynamics or the Power Platform, we can get you all kinds of information if you have anything about that. If you go to their website, they've got an opportunity. If you've got a group of 5 or more, they'll give you a group discount. So we're real big in wanting to make sure a lot of people are coming. There are workshops both on the Sunday and Monday prior to this. So the 3rd through the 5th, the Tuesday to Thursday. And again, if you were familiar with the conference last year, same thing. They did a workshop on Sunday, did a workshop on Monday, and then, of course, they did workshops on Friday as well. So I'll actually be participating. I'm going to help proctor one of the governance or the governance workshop on Sunday. I'm excited and proud to say it's the most popular one already. I won't take credit for that, but I'm, might shrug a shoulder a little bit, right? A little confidence there. But, if you've got the chance to come visit us, please do. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn all kinds of cool stuff. They're going to drop some major announcements that week. So I'm just looking forward to it. Like my inner nerd is just going nuts. And we've got some great MVPs that are going to be there that are hiding on this call as well. So come check them out, listen to them, and just meet the rest of the community. So unless there's any other questions, I just want to say thanks for everybody showing up today and really appreciate the participation, feedback on those polls. And if you've got any other questions, we've still got a few minutes left, or if not, have a great day and we'll see you some other time.
Yeah, I think we've got, I thought I saw Lauren raise her hand.
Ooh.
Any other questions?
This here.
Maybe not.
That's all right. That's okay. We'll just say we answered everything. Right? We'll just, it's clear as day for everybody.
Thanks,
Alrighty,
everybody.
folks. Thanks again. Have a great day.
See ya. Thanks.